What would you do if you won $1 million?
That would be amazing.
I know, right?
I think the first thing I would do is save a portion.
That's very responsible.
What about you?
I would probably travel.
Where would you go?
I'd visit different countries in Europe.
That sounds exciting.
I've always wanted to see new cultures.
I would also invest some money.
That's a smart idea.
It would help secure the future.
Would you quit your job?
Maybe not immediately.
Why not?
I'd want to think carefully first.
That makes sense.
Sudden changes can be risky.
I might take a break from work.
That would be nice.
Do you think money brings happiness?
It can help, but it's not everything.
I agree.
It gives comfort and freedom.
But relationships matter more.
Exactly.
I would also help my family.
That's very kind.
What about charity?
I would donate some money.
That's important.
Helping others feels meaningful.
Winning money is a big responsibility.
Definitely.
You need to manage it wisely.
Otherwise, it can disappear quickly.
That's true.
I'd also learn about finance.
That's a good plan.
It's important to make smart decisions.
I completely agree.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
I would choose the ability to fly.
That's a popular choice.
It would be so freeing.
Where would you go first?
I'd fly over the ocean.
That sounds beautiful.
What about you?
I would choose invisibility.
Really? Why?
It would be useful in many situations.
Like what?
Avoiding danger or observing things.
That's interesting.
Do you think superpowers would be dangerous?
They could be.
It depends on how people use them.
Exactly.
Power comes with responsibility.
That's very true.
Would you tell people about your power?
Probably not.
Me neither.
It could attract attention.
Or cause problems.
Would you use it every day?
Maybe sometimes.
I would use flying often.
It would save time.
And avoid traffic.
That's a great benefit,
Superpowers sound fun.
but also complicated.
I agree.
If you could travel back in time, where would you go?
I would go to the past.
Which time period?
Maybe 100 years ago.
That's interesting.
I want to see how people lived.
I would visit ancient civilizations.
Like Egypt or Rome?
Yes, exactly.
That would be fascinating.
Do you think it would be dangerous?
Probably.
Life was harder back then.
That's true.
Would you change anything in history?
I'm not sure.
It could have consequences.
Yes, it might change the present.
That's risky.
Maybe it's better to just observe.
I agree.
Time travel is exciting, but complicated.
Definitely. What would you do if you were the president for a day?
That's a big responsibility.
It really is.
I would focus on improving education.
That's a great idea.
Education is very important.
I would help reduce poverty.
That's also important.
Do you think one day is enough?
Probably not.
Change takes time.
Yes, but small steps matter.
Would you feel stressed?
Definitely.
Being a leader is difficult.
It requires many decisions.
And responsibility.
I respect leaders more now.
Me too.
What would you do if you were stranded on a desert island?
I would try to find food and water first.
That's the priority.
Survival comes first.
Would you build a shelter?
Yes, to protect myself.
I would feel scared.
Me too.
Would you try to escape?
Definitely.
That would be difficult.
Yes, but I would try.
What would you miss the most?
My family.
Same here.
And modern comforts.
Like electricity.
Exactly.
It would be a tough situation.
But also a learning experience.
True.
It would teach survival skills.
And patience.
I agree.
If you could meet any famous person, who would you choose?
That's a tough question.
There are so many options.
I think I would choose a historical figure.
Like who?
Maybe someone like Albert Einstein.
That's a great choice.
I would love to ask him about his ideas.
That would be fascinating.
What about you?
I think I would choose a famous actor.
Really? Why an actor?
Because I enjoy movies a lot.
That makes sense.
I'd love to know how they prepare for roles.
That would be interesting.
Do you think you would be nervous?
Definitely.
Me too.
Meeting someone famous can be intimidating.
But also exciting.
Would you prepare questions in advance?
Yes, I wouldn't want to waste the chance.
That's smart.
I'd ask about their life experiences.
And their challenges.
Exactly.
Do you think famous people enjoy meeting fans?
Some do, I think.
Others might feel tired of it.
That's understandable.
They have busy lives.
Still, it would be a memorable experience.
Definitely.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
I would never forget it.
Me neither.
It could also be inspiring.
Yes, especially if they share advice.
That could change your perspective.
I agree.
Meeting someone you admire is special.
Very special.
If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
That sounds difficult.
I know, it's a hard choice.
I think I would choose something simple.
Like what?
Maybe rice.
Really? Why rice?
Because it's versatile.
That's true.
You can combine it with many things.
That's a smart choice.
What about you?
I might choose pasta.
Pasta is delicious.
There are many types of pasta dishes.
That helps avoid boredom.
Exactly.
Do you think you would get tired of it?
Probably after a while.
Eating the same food forever sounds boring.
Yes, variety is important.
Food is part of enjoyment.
And culture.
That's true.
Do you like trying new foods?
Yes, very much.
Me too.
That's why this question is difficult.
Exactly.
Maybe it's better not to choose.
I agree.
Life is better with variety.
Definitely.
Still, it's fun to imagine
Yes, it makes you think.
and appreciate different foods.
I completely agree.
What would you do if you found a wallet on the street?
I would try to return it to the owner.
That's very honest.
It's the right thing to do.
Would you look inside?
Only to find identification.
That makes sense.
What about you?
I would do the same.
Would you take it to the police?
If I couldn't find the owner, yes.
That's a good idea.
Do you think everyone would do that?
Probably not.
Some people might keep the money.
That's unfortunate.
It shows their character.
Honesty is important.
Imagine losing your wallet.
That would be stressful.
You would hope someone returns it.
Exactly.
That's why helping is important.
Kindness matters.
Do you think good actions come back to you?
I believe so.
Me too.
Returning a wallet is a simple act,
But it can mean a lot.
especially to the owner.
I agree.
It builds trust in society.
That's very important.
Small actions can make a difference.
Definitely.
I would feel good doing that.
Me too.
If you could speak every language fluently, how would you feel?
That would be amazing.
I agree.
It would make communication so easy.
You could travel anywhere.
And talk to anyone,
That would be very useful.
especially for work.
Yes, it opens many opportunities.
Do you like learning languages?
Yes, but it's not easy.
It takes time and practice.
That's true.
Knowing many languages is impressive.
It shows dedication.
Would you use it for travel?
Definitely.
Me too.
You can understand different cultures better.
Language is part of culture.
Exactly.
Do you think technology will replace language learning?
Maybe partly.
But human communication is special.
I agree.
Speaking directly feels more natural.
And more meaningful.
This ability would be a great advantage.
Definitely.
I would love to have it.
Me too.
It would make life easier.
And more interesting.
Learning languages connects people.
That's what makes it valuable.
If you could change one thing about your past, what would it be?
That's a deep question.
I know.
I might change a decision I regret.
Like what?
Maybe not taking an opportunity.
That's understandable.
What about you?
I would change how I handled a mistake.
We all have regrets.
Yes, it's part of life.
Do you think changing the past is a good idea?
Not always.
Why not?
Because it shapes who we are.
That's true.
Mistakes help us learn.
And grow.
Exactly.
If we change the past, we might lose that growth.
That's a good point.
Do you regret many things?
Not many, but a few.
Same here.
I try to learn from them.
That's the best approach.
The past cannot be changed.
But the future can.
That's important to remember.
We should focus on improving ourselves.
Yes, and making better decisions.
Every experience has value.
Even the negative ones.
They teach us lessons.
I completely agree.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I think I would choose a peaceful place.
Like a countryside area?
Yes, somewhere quiet and relaxing.
That sounds nice.
What about you?
I would choose a big city.
Really? Why a big city?
Because there are more opportunities.
That's true.
I like the energy of a city.
I prefer calm environments.
Do you like nature?
Yes, very much.
Nature is refreshing.
It helps reduce stress.
Cities can be stressful sometimes.
Yes, they are crowded and noisy.
But they are exciting too.
That's a good point.
Would you ever try living in a city?
Maybe for a short time.
That's a good idea.
You can experience both lifestyles.
Exactly.
Do you think you would get tired of city life?
Possibly.
That's why balance is important.
I agree.
Maybe living near a city is ideal.
Yes, close but not too close.
That sounds perfect.
Everyone has different preferences.
That's what makes it interesting.
If you could be famous, would you want to be?
I'm not sure.
Why not?
Fame comes with pressure.
That's true.
People watch everything you do.
That time's stressful.
What about you?
I think I would like it.
Really?
Yes, but only for the opportunities.
Like what?
Meeting interesting people.
That's a good point.
And having influence.
Influence can be powerful.
But it must be used carefully.
Exactly.
Do you think fame affects personality?
Sometimes.
It can change people.
Yes, especially with pressure.
Privacy is also lost.
That's a big downside.
Would you handle it well?
I'm not sure.
It requires strong character.
Definitely.
Fame is not always easy.
I agree.
It looks attractive from outside.
But reality can be different.
That's true.
If you could read people's minds, would you want to?
That's a tricky one.
Why do you think so?
It could be overwhelming.
I agree.
You might hear things you don't want to know.
That's true.
What about you?
I think I would want it.
Really?
Yes, it would help understand people better.
That's a benefit.
You could avoid misunderstandings.
But it might hurt your feelings.
That's possible.
Not all thoughts are positive.
That's true.
Would you tell others about your ability?
Probably not.
Me neither.
It would be too risky.
People might feel uncomfortable.
Privacy is important.
Exactly.
Do you think it would change relationships?
Definitely.
It could make things complicated.
Yes, honesty would be different.
It's an interesting idea, though.
Very interesting.
But maybe not practical.
I agree.
If you didn't need to sleep, what would you do with extra time?
That would be amazing.
I know, right?
I would learn new skills.
Like what?
Maybe languages or music.
That's a good idea.
What about you?
I would travel more.
That sounds exciting.
You would have more time for everything.
Yes, life would feel longer.
Do you think it would be tiring?
Maybe mentally.
That's possible.
Sleep is important for health.
That's true.
Without sleep, we might feel strange.
Yes, it could affect emotions.
Do you enjoy sleeping?
Yes, very much.
Me too.
It helps us recover.
And dream.
Dreams are interesting.
I wouldn't want to lose them.
Me neither.
So maybe sleeping is necessary.
I agree.
Even if we had more time.
Balance is important.
Definitely.
If you could start your life over, would you do it?
That's a big question.
I know.
I'm not sure I would.
Why not?
Because my experiences made me who I am.
That's a good point.
What about you?
I might consider it.
Really?
Yes, to make better decisions.
That's understandable.
But it's also risky.
Why do you think so?
Things might turn out worse.
That's true.
We can't predict the future.
Exactly.
Do you regret anything?
A few things.
Me too.
But they taught me lessons.
That's important.
Without mistakes, we wouldn't grow.
I agree.
Life is about learning.
And improving.
Would you change small things or big things?
Probably small things.
That's safer.
Big changes could affect everything.
That's true.
Maybe it's better to move forward.
I think so too.
The future is still in our hands.
And that's what matters most.